Hello, good evening. Maritabel, I think you're on mute. Good evening. Welcome, everyone.
Hello. Hi. Okay. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Truth in Bikinis podcast. And today we're going to be talking about the simple concept of how a lack of money can equal to a lack of freedom, and try to educate and help women understand the importance of financial independence. So, what happens is that in a lot of situations, some women believe that they'll grow up and they find a man that can afford them and a lifestyle for them, take care of them, and they don't really think about, you know, themselves and making money for themselves. So these women, maybe they have something going on and then they marry someone that's financially well off, and whatever ambitions when it comes to work and making money kind of die down, and they don't realize how dangerous this actually is. So, you know, I just want to ask, why, okay? Why do you think a lot of women tend to fall into this trope of when something goes wrong in a marriage, when something goes off, they actually don't have that option? Like, them leaving is not an option because they didn't. Why do a lot of women decide not to take that financial independence? Why do people not take it seriously? And how can we make people understand it? Let's explain the cons, let's explain the problems with these situations. Am I young? I'd love to hear from you.
Okay, good afternoon. Well, the idea of women not wanting to or relying financially on their partners is very bad. And when there is lack of money, there is every tendency that you might be trapped. Let's say, for instance, you might be trapped in a marriage that you don't like. Maybe the marriage might kind of be an abusive one. So when you are relying on your man, anything you see, that's what you get. You can never leave a marriage or a relationship when you're financially depending on that person, because there are so many things you would want to do with life. There are so many things you would want to get. You might start thinking, fine, if I should leave now, then how about rent? Where will I even get the money to pay rent? Then let's go further to feeding. Feeding is not easy. When you're not thinking of how to buy this, buy to stock your house alone, you know how much it costs you. So when you're not financially independent, you're thinking of all these things would make you endure any shit, because you know that you can't cater for yourself alone. You can't cater for, even some of them might even have children and can't go out with them because the school fees, how would they, where would they start from? So when you don't have that money, you see most of those women that endure abuse in marriages. If you want to look at them, most of them are financially depending on their partners. So their partners now have that capacity, ability, the tendency of doing whatsoever they want to do to them, because they know they are helpless. When you don't have money, you are helpless. You'll be vulnerable to whatever happens to you. All the things that is going wrong, you accept everything with endurance, because you know you don't have that. If you should leave that place, then there is nothing you can do for your life, and you'll be so limited in many ways. You might just want to learn a skill on your own and your partner says you're not learning. If you have that money, you can decide to learn it. But the person that is spending for you, if he says you're not learning, you won't learn. Where will you get the money from? So financial independence is very important for most women. And that financial dependence is what is trapping some women in abusive marriages, because the partner that has that has that effort to do whatsoever they want to do to you, because you don't have that money now. So So you endure every shit, you endure even if you don't love the partner, you are just there. There are so many women that they just sacrifice their future because they are financially depending on the person. So their purpose for life is diminishing. Yeah, we have ladies who said we don't want to work, fine, they just want to sit down, cross their legs. Sitting down, crossing your legs is not bad, but at least have something where you are earning this money from, so that if peradventure your partner is doing anyhow, you know how to care for yourself, you know what to do. It's not just the abusive marriages. Even you in your own happily marital home, you still need your own money. Even if your husband is giving you as much money as you want, the joy of having your personal money is way different. You might just want to get something, you can just want to go out there and get something for yourself. But when you're financially depending on your partner, everything you call your partner, everything you call your husband, even the man at some point will be tired. Because if he's the one running the bills, if he's the one paying the children's school fees, paying for house rent, doing all sort of things, and then those little things that you could get for yourself, you are still calling him to require it from him. At some point, he will get tired. He will now look as if you are a burden to him. So financial independence is very important. It gives women the avenue to still find themselves. It gives them confidence. It boosts your confidence. When you have that money of your own, it boosts your confidence. You can just go out, you can do whatsoever you want to do, and then nobody does anyhow to you. And if you see some people who are always financially dependent right from singlehood, they settle for anything. When once they know that there is some little ego, they settle for it, irrespective of how the person looks like. Even if the person is 80 years, they will settle for that person because at least they've seen where they can get that financial freedom. But people who work for their money, who knows the importance of financial independence, they know their self-worth, they know their value. Those kind of people are the kind of people that don't just settle for anything. They don't just go to bend down select like as if you are selecting a cracker. They go to the main boutique themselves and get those quality materials, the quality clothes they want. So they go for quality men of quality, not just anyhow men they see on the street. They just settle because the person now is doing maybe small mechanic job and is seeing money that time, or one contract like that, and they just head over heels for them. So when you have your money, you know what you want, you go for what you want. But when you don't have that money, you have no other alternative than settling for less. And the less you're settling for might affect you in future, affect your children, and so on and so forth. So it is very important for women, we ladies, if marriage, even as single ladies, to have their own money that they are working for. Learn skills, do whatsoever you want, but just have that money of your own, not just relying solely on another person. Thank you.
I would really love to hear your own take on the matter and your perspective. I pretty much asked, why do you think a lot of women fall into this trope? And how can you educate them to understand that it's not a helpful place to be, it's not a good thing? You know, what are the cons of it? Because we're not even going to say pros because we are not for it generally. So, how do you view it if you're still here?
Yeah, I'm here. I think one of
Amen.
the reasons women fall to
No,
this.
it's MM. I'm
Okay,
asking. Yeah, it's the same question I just asked you now. Okay, let me just give my own take on it since is out for a bit. Yeah, pretty much. The reason why I think a lot of ladies fall into this is social conditioning, right? A lot of people, even on the internet, you're going to see a lot of this soft girl life type of TikToks, stay at home girlfriend content, see how I attract high value men and stuff like that. Even the girls around you, if you're going to see girls here and there, just having a bunch of stuff from their boyfriend. I think there was time I stayed in hostel. This girl will come back with big bag, a big bag of things that her boyfriend bought for her. A big bag of groceries, milk, sugar, stuff like that for her staying home. So not her parents, her boyfriend bought it for her. And anyone looking at that would be like, wow, I would love that, right? But they are not thinking how can I work hard enough to make the money to have that for myself? And I'm thinking, how can I attract a man that's going to buy that for me? Because it's the easy way out, honestly. And the truth is that the actual truth is that if even if men a lot of even if men had that opportunity where a lot of women want to spend money, you get to get with them. You see a lot of men that don't work, that get their money from just, it's the easiest way to get around it. It's the easiest way. And if you see a hard way to make money and you see an easy way to make money, you would go for the easier way. Same way people that do fraud, right? Their excuse for doing fraud is the economy is hard, things are hard, and this is, I don't have immediate skills, right? So they put all their efforts and all their time into doing fraud. Not trying to say fraud is easy, but relatively to the other pathways in making a lot of money, it is the easier path. So I think human beings are drawn to the easiest and fastest and quickest way to get the way they get what they want to. And it's very tempting because imagine you having a choice between the easy way and the hard way. Most people will choose the easy way. Most people want to choose, like, nobody wants to struggle. Nobody wants to struggle. Nobody wants to hustle like a man, you know, that thing. So they want to just be soft. They don't want to do too much. And the problem with it is that it's even more than just the financial dependence. You When you become financially dependent on someone, you kind of relax. You're not thinking of gaining that financial dependence because my babe, my husband, he's getting it for me. He's doing it for me. So you don't even really. I know someone that started a business and they stopped the business because first off, they weren't even used to doing business. Their babe and now told them, go and start a business, please. Start doing something for yourself so you can have some money. They started, they stopped. They just gave up on it because they were not used to putting in the work and effort into getting money. They would just like be a fine girl and guys will do that for them. So and so now you're stuck in a cycle of depending on men, and it can very easily turn into you selling your body. You get yourself stuck in a cycle of depending on men for your finances. You form a habit of depending on men for finances that you're not even. I think your mic is on. Okay, I think I might miss here, but
No,
I
it's
can't
not.
see her. I don't know whose mic is on, but it's kind of interfering. Um, as I was saying, you find yourself stuck in a situation where you can't fathom a way to make money for yourself. I, I can hear you, but I can't see your. I can hear you, but I can't see your space. Yes, I can't see you, but I can hear you. But your audio. Okay, so as I was saying, you find yourself stuck in a cycle. You find yourself stuck in a cycle where you're constantly depending on men, and that just becomes what you know and all you know. And when you get to the point where you can't, like, you reach a certain age that's not feasible anymore. That's not the easiest way. That is now, you don't have any skills you've held on to. You don't have any sense of self. You've pretty much, like, you don't have anything that you really made for yourself to make yourself proud of. Because even if you want to say, okay, you help me start a business, that business, that whatever, you still have to put in effort. You still have to work hard. So yeah, I think it's a general laziness that people have. I don't want to call it laziness because just generally want to people generally just want to do things the easiest way. They want to go into it calmly. So that's my why, and my reasons why not. I've pretty much said it in between, sprinkled it here and there. That it's not good also because the person that has the money is power. Money is power. Money is control. Money is life at the end of the day. Sadly, but that's the world we have come to. So if you don't have money for yourself, The person that has the money is the one that makes the decisions. Okay, nobody wants to be in a situation of their parents again. Nobody wants to live with their parents times two, right? Because the situation with your parents is that what your parents says goes. Under my house, my rules. That's a simple control situation. You don't have any choices. You don't have any real tangible, and it can be so frustrating. If you can remember what it's like to be a child in your parents' house and not being able to do the things that you wanted to do or do the things that you needed to do because you're held back by your parents' financial ability or inabilities. I also held back by your parents' rules, because what your parents want to say now, you say, mommy, daddy, I want to go to visit my friend. You can't go to visit your friend if they say no. Your parents say no, and you may not eat that day. They will not buy you clothes that day. You're not getting transport. You can't even get transport to go to the place that you're going to. You understand? And as a child, that is frustrating. As a child, that is frustrating. Imagine being an adult and you're still experiencing that. Imagine being full grown. You have reached an age where all these things of me being a child, my parents controlling me, it should be gone. But you are still experiencing it. And that is quite demeaning. I never want to be a child again. When I become an adult, I don't want to be a child again. I would love to be a child in like freedom of responsibilities, relaxing, but that freedom of responsibilities comes at a cost, because you also lose your very own freedom as a person. You're not free. Honestly, you're not free. Imagine if you marry someone that has crazy rules for you, says you can't go here at this time, you can't do this, you can't do that. You have to take permission from your husband to go and visit your friends. You have to
Yes,
take
me, Isabel.
yeah.
Okay, so yes, I guess we were talking about the fact that, like I said yesterday, the whole idea of the whole domestic violence situation and the fact that women are constantly trapped in such situation and it becoming a thing for women who don't have money to not have a choice. It's just simple because you don't have money, you don't have a choice. Like there's so much limited options available to the person who can't afford to make certain choices at certain point in time. And so, like I was saying yesterday, I was even saying the fact that women need to be taught to be better productive. Like women need to be taught to actually have their own lives, away from getting married, away from getting into relationships with the other gender. Women actually need to be taught to live first as a woman. So because it seems like the average African woman, maybe I'll say African woman because that's how we're trained. The average African woman always lives their life expecting somehow to end up with a man, which is not even a bad thing. But there's that expectation that always makes it look as though when you're on your own, you're incomplete. When you're on your own, your life has not started. Like when I get married, people have those dreams. Like and it's always like when I get married or when I get into this relationship or when and we neglect the aspect of actually growing as women. We neglect the aspect of growing as women. So growing, having goals, having ambitions, and actually meeting those goals and becoming better per day. We neglect the aspect and just focus our attention on, oh, this is what I want to be. I want to be this person's husband. Oh, I want to have this person's wife. I want to have this number of children. Oh, when my husband comes, you listen to the average young women in Nigeria talk about their lives, and you just know that they never are able to just talk about themselves independently without referring to relationship or referring to, which are not also a bad thing, but the fact that you're neglecting the part that you yourself, you are a human being needing development, needing to grow, needing understanding, needing wisdom, needing to excel in all of the things that you put your hands to, needing to actually be productive as a human being. And so that's what I was saying, that the fact that when women get to that point and they actually make those choices and maybe get into a wrong relationship, they cannot find themselves and then they can't see a way out because they've never been involved in ventures, they've never lost money, they've never gone on business ventures, or maybe they've never They've never tried something and failed at it, and so they don't even know how to start again. Most women don't know how to start again. So where do I start from? That man was my livelihood. That man was my everything. And women practically put their lives on pause. It's like somebody just wants to go on a journey and then they pause everything about themselves and then they become another person entirely, only for that other person to fail and they don't know how to return to being themselves. And so I think one of the biggest orientation or one of the biggest um, mindset renewal that we ought to be doing is talking to women independent of men. Like, let's just have conversation about ourselves as women. How are you doing financially? Would you love to do a business? What kind of career would you love to be involved in? What would you be known? What would you love to be known for as a woman? Yes, you're going to get married someday. I mean, there are women who are growing old now and are accepting the fact that they may not necessarily end in that committed relationship called marriage. So they're accepting it. Over here, we don't accept it because it's a standard, it's a norm. Every woman's life, you must end in the kitchen, you must end in the man's house. And if you don't do that, it seems like you're incomplete. And that's how we've been training. But I want us to, even though, yes, you're probably gonna get there someday, but while you're still single, while you're still maybe without a man, even while you're in the man's house, can you still remember that you used to have a dream to probably be, oh, an else test? Can you still remember that you used to have a dream to own a school? Did you leave that dream to pursue the fact that you want to get married and actually, and then did you forget yourself in the process? And so we need to start talking to women. Women, you need to be in charge of your finances. You need to not just live your life because the fact that you get married and then I know, yes, your husband takes care of the bills, takes care of everything, and I really do not have no need for getting to work here. You know, there are people like that. They don't have any need for going back to work or going to get a job because their husband takes care of everything. But then there's a proverb that says, "Who pays the piper? He takes the tune." The one that will tell the person, if I'm the one paying the drummer, I'm the one telling him what kind of song I want to dance to. And so it means that if you are that person, you are just going to have to consistently dance to my R&B that I'm playing. You are not allowed to dance a combi. You are not allowed to dance any other kind of dance. I'm the one paying your bills. I'm the one taking care of your needs. So if I say sit down here, you must sit down. You must sit down because I practically own you. Practically own you. I can say you don't go anywhere. You don't have any friends. I can even seize your phone on a good day. I wake up, I decide not to do DSTV so that you will not watch Telemundo. I can do it. And there's nothing you can do about it. But is that a way to live your life? Is that a good way to live? Women should be asking themselves, is that a good way to live married? No, it's obviously not a good way to live. And so women need to do better. Starting from when you're single, you need to know that you're a person. I keep saying it. You are a human being. You were created with needs. You were created with ambition. You were created with a purpose. Even the person that created you had a purpose for you. And you don't just go and share the space we should start from. The fact that women need to understand that they are independent human beings and they have a life independent of whoever they married. Whoever they married. And you ought to be responsible. You ought to be responsible. Even if they are paying your bills, take it as maybe some sort of scholarship. Use that time to gather funds, use that time to gather funds and keep. You can decide to want to do something fun. You can decide to want to take another degree, and your husband says they can't afford it at the time. You tell them, okay, don't worry, I can pay for it. You can still want to go to holiday in Dubai. The people that are going to holiday in Dubai and paying for their holiday, they don't have two heads. They don't have two heads. The people that are going to Singapore, this one we used to, they don't, that's women, oh, they don't have three. So the idea that you have to always wait for a man to fund every need, it's think it's just crazy. Whoever sold the idea to us did us a lot of evil. Just a lot of evil. Because even then, there's the aspect that we neglect the fact that the man is also a human being with his own needs. And the fact that you put so much on him, uh, you want him to be responsible for everything. He's responsible for you, he's responsible for the children, he's responsible for himself. And then over time, he gets tired. Because he's a human being, he gets tired. You can just decide on a good day, I beg, I don't have your time today. Just avoid me. They just avoid. I don't feel like paying your bills this week. Something like that. You can choose that. And you can't even blame him because he's a human being. And what happens to, okay, if you wanted to even also be a blessing to him? So that means you can't even throw, like we were talking yesterday, you can't even throw a surprise party for your husband because he pays the bill. You can't enter ShopRite and you see a good shoe that you think would fit him and you buy it and you give to him because he's the one paying. Oh, you call him and say, I don't see one fine shoe here. I want to surprise you. Please send me money. Really? I mean, the whole thing doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't. The whole just, in fact, the way women should pay attention to this thing is that if you're about to get into a relationship and somebody's saying, as I'm marrying you, so I just want you to stay in the house. I don't want you to stress. Just born me fine children and be watching them. Just know that that's your cue to run. Run for your life. Say you born me fine. You will not touch anything. Everything you want, I give you. Just know that that's your cue to take off, to car, no matter what's going on. Yeah. But you know that women are always like, man, that's a good deal. I want somebody who will take care of me. I want to be your guy wife. That's how you get into trouble. That's how you get into trouble because you want to be your guy wife. And of course, it's not going to be on your own terms. You don't get work. You don't have a skill. You've never maybe worked for someone. Some of them just come out of NYC and then they are, sometimes even serving NYC camp, they've already proposed to them. Um, they don't have a skill. They've never had to work for someone. They don't know what it's like to come up with ideas. They don't know what it's like to hold on to an idea and see it come to fruition. Like work on that idea till it becomes something tangible. They don't know that. It seems like most African women were not taught to work. We don't have a culture of work when it comes to women. And so women are just learning now to get up and go to work. Women are just learning now to get up and be productive at things. And then we have a lot of examples. So it's not just you alone. Because these things cannot continue like that. So every time a woman gets into such a situation, she can't go out because she doesn't have money. She also cannot go out because she cannot even conceive an idea and work it up till it becomes a success. She can't. And so she can't see a way out. And so she's stuck to like, okay, let me even stay here and hope that it changes. After all, everybody's getting beaten. It's not everybody that's getting beaten. And they will kill you. It's not everybody's getting beaten. You know? So it's a whole lot, and I think some of the conversations we need to start having with women is these are the ones I'm talking about. You need to start having even before you get married, even before women start thinking of marriage. These are the conversations we need to start having. Work is a good thing. Work is the process where you actually build up your mind. Work is the process where you get productive at something and your mind is being expanded in the process and you're getting better at it. And then you know that even if you fail at it, you can start it again. Or you have learned a better way to get it done. That's what failure is. You have learned how not to do it. And so you can do it better the next time you try again. And so work is good. And it's not just a man's thing. Work is not a man's thing. Everybody ought to be productive. Everybody ought to be productive. Everybody ought to learn discipline in managing finances. Everybody ought to learn the culture of work, productivity, um, you know, making something with your hands. Getting good with it, and your mind, your brain grows in the process. And yes, we need to start talking to women about these things. The idea that you can just be they say impulsive because you're a woman. Like, I go out and then the only money that is in my hand is 200k, and then I see wig, I buy 200k, or I buy the wig for 150k. because I'm a woman and I am impulsive as a woman. It doesn't make any sense. It means you don't understand finances. And so that's why we should be talking about it. And then some of them now, when you buy the wig, okay, even if your husband gives you, is the one that gives you the 200K, you don't even know how to be saying, okay, as I no get work, let me even be keeping, even if it's 10,000. So that's, I can even use it on the day I want to shawarma, I don't have to call him. Do you understand? So yeah, I think these are the conversations that we need to be having with women, and women need to be talking about the fact that we ought all to be productive as human beings. I mean, it's not a man's thing to be productive. It's not supposed to be something that they say, oh, women, no, women just rest. Women need to be pampered. Women need, no, women need to know their environment. Women need to be aware of everything that is going on around them. In fact, when I hear women say I can't turn on the gen until my husband is around, I think it's a joke because, or if something gets bad, you have to wait until the guy comes back. I, I rest my case. All right, Emilio. Last words before we go. Okay, so how do we get to the point? Like I said, I actually think that there are conversations we should be having about finances, even though I know that there are certain systems that have been begun to be made available for women who are in this situation to actually come out and find skills they can learn, and in some cases they are giving grants to help them start up. Uh, they're giving grants to help them start up. They're giving free pro bono legal services to maybe get custody of children or get entitlement to certain things. So yes, even then, I feel that we need to start from the scratch, like start from when they are not married, so that we just avoid the whole situation where someone gets to that point. And then we also need to have let's have a place or an organization or an arrangement where women can actually air what's going on with them without being judged. They can talk about if they are getting hit, how many times have you been hit by the man, you know, without getting judged. Because there's sometimes the parents may not listen. Sometimes the family may not be the best people to go to if it's such a family that they say, oh, we don't used to leave our father's house, or we don't used to come back to our father's house after we marry. They may not be the best set of people to talk to. So sometimes we need to create an environment where maybe we teach women how to create support systems that would allow them actually be able to have a conversation with them. You can talk to someone and then they can expect to get help. They can expect not to get judged, and then they can expect to be directed to where they will get help, even if that's not the best place. Since the government is also getting into such endeavors, they can get connected with places like that where they can get help, get out of those places. But then I also think that the most important thing is to start talking to women even before they get to that point. There's need for you to be financially independent. There's need for you to not relegate your your essence to another person just because you got married. Not because it's marriage is a terrible thing, but it's because that's fact that as a human being you also have a purpose and you ought to live complete. Yeah, you ought to live, like you ought to be fulfilled. And I think that you find it living alongside someone. Okay, so Emedion, go ahead. You have something to say before we shut down for the day.
Okay. Well, I think one of the ways we can also help the women is educate them on financial discipline, because there are women that you can give them 1 million naira today, and that 1 million naira cannot survive for 2 weeks. Just like you said, maybe you just see weeks. There are women that are willing to just use 500,000 naira, buy one wig, use 200,000, buy a gown, and then they'll just, before you know, that money is squandered. So when we want to start helping, is to first of all enlighten and teach. We need to teach these people to understand, fine, this is the journey we want to take for you to have this financial independence, but then this and this, you need to know how to handle your money. You need to know the right things to buy. You can buy all those things when you have more than enough. Buying of beautiful rings, expensive clothing, and all those things are not bad, but you need to have enough money to purchase them. So we start from that, and then there are many skills, there are grants out there that you can acquire. You go online, you can see where they say the grant, we have grant of 20 50, 100, 200,000. There are some platforms that are giving grants to women, most especially women. And then there are skills. We have fashion. We know most ladies love sewing clothes. We go for fashion is there. Like there are so many skills, pastries, even tech skills. There are so many online skills that you can learn, and then from there you can start some jobs where you stay at home and just you're working. So those little things. If you are determined to work, you are determined to learn a skill, you are determined to have the money, then you will see that there are opportunities everywhere. You just to know the right place to go. But first of all, it is from your heart. When you determine to do this thing, irrespective of what whatsoever is saying. And that's why it is good to start as a single lady, as a young lady, to start grabbing all these opportunities. Learn as many skills as you can. Master any skill. You can go to school, get your BSc, you can get your masters if you can, PhD. Then look for other skills, learn them, and then value yourself. When, like I said, if you can value yourself, every other person that is coming in there would value you. When you know your self-worth, every other person that comes there will know that yes, this lady has self-worth. But when you just left with nothing, like you don't just know how to do anything at all, no skill. Even up to now, we have ladies that don't even have a skill at all, nothing, nothing. Maybe some of them, they can even go to school, they are done, they go to school, they go for service, and they go for marriage, and they are just sitting down like that. No business idea, leadership skills, nothing, nothing at all, nothing. And they are not even willing to learn, because maybe they just want to, they feel relaxed. When you are depending on something, there is every possibility that person would have control over that thing. I would take, for instance, there was a time my younger sister was she was depending on my phone. So she didn't have a phone of her own. So whenever she wants to make use of phone, she comes to me. And there are times she might want to see movie, and then me, I am busy with my phone, and she would like come to me and say, "Sino, please, I want to see movie." I'll tell her, "I am busy. You can't see movie in my phone now," and she'll just go and sleep. That was because she was depending on me for my phone. So I had control over my phone. I determine what she wants to do with the phone. I can tell her, you're not seeing this movie, and she won't, because it is my phone. Now she has her phone. She can do whatsoever she wants to do. Even if she wants to wake up by 2 a.m. to go on social media, even if she wants to wake up by 3 a.m. to download anything, even if she wants to wake up by 4 a.m. to see a movie, it is none of my business, because she has her own phone now. But she cannot do that with my phone when it was in my own possession, when I was the one handling the phone, or if I'm the one handling the phone. So that is where the whole depending of a thing comes in. When you are relying on demand, or depending on someone else for money, like solely, then it is a slap on the face, because that person will gain power and control over you. That person determines what you want to do. So start now. But if you're already in marriage, you can still do those things. We have mothers who are staying at home. Maybe it has gotten to a point where you can, maybe as a result of the children are still very young, and you don't have a nanny, you can't step out and leave them at home. Then you can still get online jobs are everywhere. We have KDP. You just get freelancing. You just get one, master it, just learn it. Go on YouTube, you learn it, and then you start doing it. Before you know, at home, if you can save from those ones your husband used to give to you, you can get a laptop for yourself if you don't have one. Before you can even use your smartphone Start working. Before you know, you start earning as little as you can. But those ones you earn for yourselves, you can be proud of it. At least you know you have something coming into your pocket. But let it be that it is your own. So please, I would advise you, financial independence, it is very important. It makes you avoid all sort of shit. It makes you avoid all sort of nonsense, that all sort of embarrassment. Because when you don't have the money, you might likely be embarrassed over little things that you can't even solve, things that you can even look at it and you also the last thing, like 1,000 naira, they might just raise, okay fine, 1,000 naira, and you don't have, and someone will be looking at you with the way you're addressing that you don't have. If you tell them you don't have, they will not believe you, maybe because you look all shiny, and they don't know that you're getting the money from somebody and the person did not give it to you. But when you have your own money, you are like I said, it boosts confidence. It's a confidence booster. So try and work hard for your money. You don't need to work hard, but just work for your money. At least get something, learn skills, go to school, grab opportunities. Okay, if you have someone that is giving to you, that is a higher advantage. It is not bad for your husband to give to you. If he's giving it to you, fine, collect it very well. At least we all want this, good life, soft life, but at least you can also support him in any way you can. And that's what most men love, when you can give out the little you have, just sprinkle, okay babe, I got this for you, and all of that. So as a woman, have your own money, buy things for your kids. You can take your kids out without your husband even know, you surprise them. So it is very important, it's very crucial for we as women to have our financial independence, to have our money, to avoid being trapped, especially in abusive marriages. And if you're in abusive marriage, it is high time you look for an organization. Step out of that abusive marriage, look for a better place, just look for an organization. There are women out there, there are organizations that can help you. Look for one. Then, like I said, look for all these skills online, learn one, and don't just be afraid of stepping out. Okay, when you step out there, when you have that vision of stepping out, that mindset of stepping out, then you will be so shocked at the kind of greatness, the opportunities that you will see. Okay, it's just those fear of how will I continue, but just step out. If it's abusive, so as not to lose your life, step out, get something, one or two. Even if you have to sell pure water, it's something. Those little change you're getting is something. Even if you sell groundnuts, whatever you can, whatever your hand can do, just put your mind towards it. Work hard. Just the work hard is not killing yourself, but just use your head. Work smart, work hard. Try every possible means to survive. Because yes, it is why we are here. So please don't just rely on anyone. Don't just stay there as a single lady to just want to end up as Oga's wife. Be a boss yourself, and then you end with another Oga, and you're Oga's wife, and you're still Oga yourself. Have that money, and you'll see how enjoyable it will be. Thank you so much for joining us. I think my co-host network kind of cut them off. So thank you very much. Bye.
I'm here. Oh.
Okay, please,
Ah.
any last word?
Yes. Okay. Let me give my last words. Just want to say, like, I think the whole total distance that you should make conscious efforts to understand what you're getting into. Okay. Do not depend on the person, because money is power and money is control.